We talk about this every single. This is what
I don't think
I've been
y'all
talking about this
enough.
every night.
I don't think y'all have enough conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about Donald Trump being a fascist.
Well,
am I wrong, Angela?
Honestly, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, I see you, Anderson Cooper. That's the energy we need for Scott Jennings. Hey, shout out to all of our new subscribers and special shout out to all of our members that have joined the channel. Let those new emoji fly. My name is Reese Waters and I'm troubled. I'm just playing. I'm not troubled. Charlamagne just said what needed to be said. He didn't say nothing that I ain't been saying here for weeks.
I was in Dwayne Reed last night here in New York, just trying to get razor blades so I can get a fresh shave for today.
That's a lie. Why you lying, Byron? Why you lying? You know you was in there to get Beijing. You know you was in there to get Beijing. We both know it. And the reason you couldn't find it is because you bought it all. In fact, Beijing is only available in DC when Byron Donalds is in Florida. I know, because I needed something for the top. Now for Anderson Cooper's part, I just spoke about his performance at Kamala Harris's CNN town hall. I understand he didn't want to come off as a Democratic shill, but at times he came off like her debate opponent.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything.
Okay, let's go to fight night.
I think that her saying that she believes Donald Trump is a fascist got a lot of headlines because it was the first time she said it. She's been going along for days saying Mark Milley said he's a fascist. This person said this. You raised the question of authenticity in your interview with her, and that was an authentic moment where she says, yeah, I do think he's a fascist. And I think that's why it had a reaction.
Anderson Cooper, just say what you gotta say, man. You ain't got to qualify everything. This should be a semi-friendly conversation. You don't do all this equivocating when you bring on the Trump mouthpieces.
Donald Trump, for whatever you think about him, if you like him, if you hate him, he is certainly who he is. He's showing us who he is every single day.
Yeah, which is a fascist. And it's crazy because you still don't have news networks having that conversation. Like when somebody says, when somebody questions Kamala Harris's blackness or is he a DEI hire, y'all will have roundtable discussions about that, asking that question. How come you're not having roundtable discussions asking, is Donald Trump a fascist? Actually not even asking it, stating it.
Now, let's pick up what Charlamagne is putting down. So for that first part, he talked about how they just throw something out there, as outlandish as it might be, like challenging her ethnicity, or somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene calling her a DEI hire, and now we have to do our journalistic thing and actually dig in and see if there's any actual meat there, which just plays into their hand of making that a topic of conversation. So then you balance some nonsense they threw out with the real reality of his fascist tendencies. Just coming out saying stuff like using the military against civilians. We'll discuss that straight up with breaking down Is She Black? That's a fact. Now, while I did not go to journalism school, nor do I have any sort of teaching degree, I did play an anchor on TV if you live in the DMV for a while. Clearly, this is something the media needs to respond to, that you can be played by a right wing that knows anything they throw out, no matter how outlandish, will require you to have to discuss it, which means that's less time and energy to talk about, the real danger that's happening over here.
I mean, when you look at the things that he's talking about doing, jailing journalists, jailing his political opponents, turning the military on American citizens. The guy said he wanted to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. How come that is not the topic of discussion on networks like CNN every day?
But do you think that, you were raising this with Kamala Harris about her own authenticity, about her own willingness to just, say things that aren't crafted. Do you think she needs to do more of that? Trump's going to go.
Needs to keep
Trump's
going
to go.
Trump a fascist?
Apparently, Trump's going on. Is going to tape a thing with Joe Rogan. Do you think she should do that?
I think that she should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist. Aren't we supposed to be a patriotic country? Whenever somebody like Colin Kaepernick takes a knee in this country, everybody talks about, oh, that's so unpatriotic. But a guy can say he wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election and nobody cares.
And not just that, Charlamagne, this is actually something that I've outlined before. The fact that the right wing all of a sudden has the market cornered on patriotism when they clearly go against the will of the people in a great many ways. Look no further than our Supreme Court. Look no further than Project 2025 and the fact that they've tried to disavow this because they know how unpopular it is, which means they know they're going against the will of the people and they're going to do it anyway. And there is nothing less patriotic than that. We're going to have to start confiscating some flags. At the end of the day, that's what it's going. We're going to have to start confiscating some flags. I don't care that those are your boxers. You got to come up off them.
Like even me bringing it up now, you brought it back to Kamala and Joe Rogan. Anderson?
Yeah.
Who gives a damn?
Well, I think you give a damn who's elected president. And I'm asking you.
That president is a fascist. That's talking about putting people in camps. That's talking about, once again, terminating the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. That's talking about, jailing his political opponents. Like that rhetoric doesn't scare people.
I'm going to do you one better, Anderson Cooper. I'm actually going to answer your question. So your question was that Donald Trump might be taping something with Joe Rogan. Do you think Kamala should do that to interface a little bit more and have more unscripted conversations? Is that going to cause you to be more honest in your coverage of Donald Trump? Is that the thing that's going to cause you to call out the dangers that he has voiced loud and clear repeatedly? Is that it?
We talked about this every single. This is what
I don't think
I've been talking about this every night.
I don't think y'all have enough conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about Donald Trump being a fascist. Well, am I wrong, Angela?
Honestly, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, I see you, Anderson Cooper. That's the energy we need for Scott Jennings. That is the energy that I need for Scott Jennings when he pivots from outright lies about a natural disaster or talks of the real enemy within to talking about the radical left. That's the energy I need then, because he never gets that energy. When Byron Donalds comes on your network and tries to claim credit for Obama's economy, disavow any accountability for the pandemic, but then blame Biden, Harris, or really just Harris for all of the inflation, and then take credit for the bounce back, that's the energy I need.
But to say that we're sitting around discussing is Kamala Harris black,
I've seen that. I've seen those roundtable discussions a lot. Now that's
true.
Bullshit, Anderson. For you to say that y'all don't have those conversations.
I've never asked somebody is.
I'm not saying
Kamala
you.
Harris
I said the
black?
network.
He said the network.
I don't think anyone I don't think any anchor on this network has been going around saying, is she black?
Now, I will say this in Anderson Cooper's defense. They report on a lot of what Donald Trump has said, and they don't necessarily pull any punches in their characterization of it. However, they report on that alongside this nonsense about Kamala Harris, a lot of which can be deduced down to an ism. A lot of which, why Kamala Harris isn't getting through to this or that group, can be deduced down to an ism. Pick one. The fact that you discuss these things alongside these things is the problem.
Y'all have never had
we have had. Look, I'm sure we have had, nutty people or people who have strongly held beliefs who I may disagree with, who somewhere on some panel have said something.
We definitely have nutty people on multiple panels on a daily basis. There you go. I cleaned it up for you. Back to the interview.
But I will just speak up for what I do on the show. I do believe it's important to get people different viewpoints as long as they're willing to have a legitimate conversation. What I don't like are surrogates who come out and just spout talking points that they don't even believe, and those are people I tried to eliminate from having ever on the air again.
I think no network has honest conversations about Donald Trump. Nobody's had honest conversations about Donald Trump since 2016. I saw last night they were talking about, the double standard that exists between Donald Trump and the vice president, but it's always a double standard with Trump, whether it's with Hillary, whether it's, against Biden, now with Kamala. We talk about him being a threat to democracy, but we don't treat him like one.
I don't know what you've been watching, but I don't know of any Trump supporters out there or people who like him who are tuning in to me every night to try to get, to be validated in their opinions. I don't know. I don't know. I disagree.
I don't think it's about validating. What do you mean, validating the Trump?
Well, you're saying that we're not, that I guess you're saying I'm not discussing all the things he is saying and doing and pointing it out and talking to, what John Kelly, this has been discussed. There's nobody, let me just say, there is nobody on the planet who has not heard and seen pretty much everything Donald Trump has said and knows
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Whether they believe it or not, whether they care or not.
Okay, one thing I will say is this, Anderson Cooper, because I'll be totally honest. I just said after the town hall the other day, I can't imagine how there's anybody who's undecided at this point. I did say that, and that more or less dovetails with the statement that you just made. However, when you take that energy towards your coverage and you decide, you know what, this is an extremely dangerous thing that a man one step away from the White House just said, but I think we all about know just how dangerous he is. Let's talk about Kamala Harris's family. You become complicit in normalizing the insane.
Vice President said that to you last night. She said, I don't think enough people know. I 100% believe enough people have not heard his rhetoric. What do you think, Angela?
I was just about to say, can y'all tag me in? I'm never doing this with y'all ever again.
Angela, yes. It's the problem of being on satellite. Yes.
I know, it is the problem. No, I was just going to say, I think what you're saying is fair, that there have been roundtable discussions where y'all raised this. I think the problem is it would be nice for, you to cut to camera and say, I'm looking right here, right now. Y'all, Kamala Harris is a black woman.
Right,
let's move right along.
Yeah,
but I was going to say to your colleague's credit, Jake, right after the town hall yesterday, he said that you all had the opportunity to critique what Kamala Harris' policy proposals were, what her positions were, what her recommendations were, whether or not she answered her question fair enough because, ta-da, she's the only one that showed up for the town hall. Yeah. It was supposed to be a debate. He said that. I think that the point is we don't hear those things enough.
Now, the point that she raised was actually one that I raised as well. I applaud Jake Tapper for saying that. I believe Kamala said it once during the town hall. That should have been something that she repeated as much as humanly possible, as far as I'm concerned. And if you are CNN and you are trying to be genuinely authentic about the way that you cover this, this is something that you need to make sure people are aware of.
Here's what I've been saying, which is it is a double standard because Kamala Harris has policies and she talks about her policies. And you may think she doesn't talk in detail enough about her policies, and plenty do. And I pushed her on that last night. I quizzed. I try to look at the policies from different, but she's got stated policies and you can look them up. Donald Trump does not have policies.
Oh, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we say, this is nothing new. We talk about this all the time. He doesn't have, he does not have his policy. In 2016, his policy for Iraq was taking Iraq's oil by using U.S. soldiers to surround the oil fields and extract the oil somehow and bring it to America. Literally, and I was like, that's not a thing. So that's been going on now. That's what
you just did. What you just did is what I would like to hear more pundits do.
Not just pundits, but hosts. When they come on your program to spout the nonsense and thereby co-opting your brand and making it a vehicle for their nonsense, I need you to take a little bit more offense and to respond with that level of energy. And yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Matter of fact, it ain't even one person, it's multiple. Just bring up the roster. I'm looking around.
Because a lot of times we ask,
But
he's
ask
the host.
answers.
All right.
Like
But
we say,
let me-
we
right,
say
but-
things like,
but let me
"Do
tell
you
you-
think Donald Trump is a fascist?" Like I think we kind of got enough
you know
evidence
what?
to know that answer.
I'm not a pundit.
Okay.
I'm not interested.
host.
I don't think my opinion is particularly interesting for viewers out there. I'm interested in
I disagree.
Well, okay, you can quibble with it.
I disagree with that
Okay,
too,
you can quibble
Anderson.
with it.
I disagree with that, because when you know that somebody is full of it, who you have platformed, you thereby have a responsibility to uphold the standards of your program to pull that back and tamp that down. Otherwise, what are we doing? Maybe just let them host the show.
But I believe in asking questions and probing people's arguments and trying to reveal people's arguments, what's true and what's not. And I'm not on MSNBC for a reason. I'm not on some other network for a reason. I'm on CNN because I want to talk to Republicans. I want to talk to Democrats, and I want to learn from them. I don't think I have the answers. I'm willing to change my mind. People can convince me of stuff all the time. I'm not I don't even know why I'm talking about myself. I don't even know what I'm talking about myself.
I do see Anderson's point, and I understand the necessity to maintain some semblance of neutrality so that you can conduct these kinds of conversations. But that only works when these kinds of conversations are happening in good faith. The way that you said that you want to have these conversations and reveal people's arguments and you learn from people all the time, when you have people whose sole purpose is to pivot and blame, who will not accept that the sky is blue or water is wet, or in the case of Glenn Youngkin, even the words that he said are actually the words that he said, then how is that useful to your aims or to anybody's?
But Anderson,
But my point
I want
is,
to tell you this.
I think what we're doing here is important because
It
I
is
do
so
think in this
important.
country where, you know what, I got so many, I don't look at comments about myself, but I was looking up some comments about my grief podcast, and I came across this whole inundation from people who are Harris supporters saying to me online today, like, how dare you, what a betrayal that you would ask her these questions.
No,
and
this
I'm
is
like,
your job.
you misunderstand what my job is. I'm not on MSNBC, and no disrespect, what they do is, they're very talented.
That's the second time MSNBC got the smoke. That MSNBC, y'all want to clap back? You want me to send you the Tupac Hit 'Em Up beat instrumental? Huh? Because I also got that ether.
But I don't watch it. I'm not interested in watching what these overpaid blow-dried anchors think, and I include myself in that overpaid blow-dried, although I don't blow-dry. I am overpaid. But I'm not interested in the anchor's opinion. I'm interested in facts and letting the viewers make up their own mind. So anyway, I'm sorry this devolved into something else, but this is
I like
fascinating.
that you said that, but I will just say in this moment, some of what we're talking about tonight, Anderson, is not actually an opinion at all. It is just the facts. And you are one of the most trusted voices on television. And it is important in those moments where you know those conversations devolve into nonsense, particularly on the other side of the aisle. They're conspiracy theory. They won't even say her name right. That has to be checked in the moment because that is what fascism looks like. That is how we start sliding down a very slippery slope, and we cannot afford to be here. The election is 12 days away, and this should not be even what is on the ballot, but democracy's on the line. That is not a partisan issue. It is the truth. And I think that's what's important for cable news networks in particular to be saying, whether you're on Fox, you're on CNN, or you're on MSNBC. For all of us, that is our responsibility and our patriotic duty.
And now that I know you can literally call bullshit, I want
Literally.
I want to hear it more.
Charlamagne.
One more time for those in the back.
Some of what we're talking about tonight, Anderson, is not actually an opinion at all. It is just the facts. And you are one of the most trusted voices on television. And it is important in those moments where you know those conversations devolve into nonsense, particularly on the other side of the aisle. They're conspiracy theory. They won't even say her name right. That has to be checked in the moment because that is what fascism looks like. That is how we start sliding down a very slippery slope, and we cannot afford to be here. The election is 12 days away, and this should not be even what is on the ballot, but democracy's on the line. That is not a partisan issue. It is the truth. And I think that's what's important for cable news networks in particular to be saying, whether you're on Fox, you're on CNN, or you're on MSNBC. For all of us, that is our responsibility and our patriotic duty.
And now that I know you can literally call bullshit, I want to hear it more.
Extremely well done, Angela Rye. I love the way that you landed that. A lot of what you said isn't an opinion. Calling the sky blue and water wet and Trump dangerous ain't an opinion. That's just going by the facts and the information that we have available. For you to maintain that position, to try and hear arguments on both sides, you have to process those arguments in some sense of reality. You have to establish that sense of reality, or else none of this actually means anything. So thank you for that, Angela Rye. As far as you're concerned, Charlamagne, I absolutely appreciate the energy that you brought to CNN. They definitely needed to hear it. Why you ain't bring that energy with Laura Trump?
Donald Trump really was very beneficial to the Black community when he was in the White House. I will say I've never seen this man say a racist thing. I think the attacks are fairly... Why is that funny, Charlamagne?
I'm just like... it's hysterical. But I mean...
But no, Charlamagne,
because people act
listen.
like there's no such thing as Google, or we don't have TV, we don't have...
I needed to hear at least one of these.
Honestly, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like that.
Nah, I need more. You should have gone on a whole
That's bullshit.
rant. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Good news for all of my members. The badges and emoji are finally here. And I want to hear from you. What do you think about them? How do you feel? Send me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. And if you want to take them out for a spin, just show up to one of our premieres or one of the lives, or even just drop a comment and let those new emoji fly. And if you haven't joined yet, the link to membership is in the description.